Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. What a lovely morning. It's a budget day in the city of Ottawa. And we'll be leaving here and going down to the council chamber also. Council will be introducing the budget today. But this is a special meeting today for tabling the Ottawa Police Service Board budget. Without further ado, I'll turn it to the chief to introduce his team. Chief. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Bonjour, Madame la Commission. So it's a pleasure for me to be here today to present our 2016 draft budget for the Ottawa Police Service. Today with me at this table here is our Director General, Deborah Fraser, and the Director of Finance, Wally Salem. But behind the budget that you have now is a tremendous effort by a great group of people. I'd like just to point them out: Valerie McCowan, Sheila Hamilton, Owen Bell, Jonathan Sweet, Heather Fisher, and Christopher O'Keefe preparing this. But also as important is a member of my executive and my senior management committee who have, for months now, have been working diligently to achieve the targets and prepare the document that you're seeing here today. So I want to thank them on behalf of myself and the board. So I think one of the issues that we want to talk about today is that there are a number of factors that are impacting the increasing cost and complexity of policing, not only in Ottawa but across Canada. And that environment is a challenging context to be able to manage. We hear a lot that crime rates are going down and calls for service are going down, but it's not just about that. We're seeing trends in increasing in many other areas that the police service is involved with. Our community is changing from a demographic perspective. For example, we have an aging population, and there are different crime and disorder issues facing our community. The advent of cybercrime, the issue of multi-jurisdictional investigations, and the issues around human trafficking. And our role as police officers and as a police organization continues to evolve, and we need to shed some of those responsibilities that we've taken over time that are not core policing issues. We seem to have been the last service of resort, but now we are the first service of resort because of the unavailability of certain services that are out there 24/7. So that's why we launched the service initiative, and the board would have received its presentation in October to talk about the great work that's going on under SI. And that the issue is that we have to deal with an ongoing examination of how we deliver our services to become more efficient and effective. And we need to adapt our policing model so that it is flexible to the changing circumstances that are going on there. So I want to highlight that despite the changing complexity of the policing environment, our members continue to deliver quality policing services. We continue to be responsive to the concerns of our residents. And we've always adapted to our changing community, and we continue to do so. And the three operational priorities that I set when I became chief resonated with our members, but also resonated with the community. Those were the issues of guns and gangs, violence against women, and traffic safety. And our most recent public survey showed us that the public has a high so. And the three priorities, the three operational priorities, the Ottawa Police Service, and in our ability to continue to keep our community safe. But policing, like all services in our city, comes at a cost. And since I became chief in 2012, our financial environment has continued to change. And we do recognize that we have to look at the way we are doing business. And we have to make sure that our taxpayers are getting value for their money. We continue to examine ways that we can become more efficient and effective to address some of those financial pressures that we are facing. Between 2013 and 2016, our police service has achieved $7.7 million in efficiencies, all while there has been no growth in our members. And we continue to also introduce some transformational projects that include our collision reporting centers, online reporting for the members of our public. We've transferred our payroll function to the City of Ottawa, and we're just about in the first quarter of 2016 launched our online background checks. We've also reviewed a number of areas within our service for efficiencies and found an opportunity within our fleet, and we've achieved over $800,000 of savings to date with respect to changing the way we manage our fleet.
And finally, as I said, we've launched our service initiative, a program that's assigned with delivering ongoing and future costs for our police service. Now, adjustments aren't always about scaling back. Often you invest. So we prioritize where our investments need to be in the budget. For example, we're adding 25 new officers. The following chart is often referred to comparing us to other the Big 12 across the Ontario region. And we like to keep an eye on this benchmark to see where we fall. And we're a growing municipality like Durham and York. And our ranking hasn't really fluctuated much over the past years when you look at the Big 12. The number of residents supported by a police member has grown consistently since 2010, from 466 to 504 in 2014 data. However, workload is becoming an issue, and that chart does not reflect the workload that our officers are being faced with. Even with an additional 25 officers, we're not going to be moving up much that scale. We'd be moving up from 504 to 498. Another comparison that we often look at is the cost per capita. So provincial comparisons show that we are an effective and efficient police service. We are right on par with the median at $303.07. We are a fiscally responsible police service. This is another chart that we like to refer to with respect to the geography of our great city. And it's a vast area, 2,796 square kilometers. So it's challenging to meet the balance between the different needs of our rural, suburban, and urban populations. The type of service we have to offer requires us to be flexible and adaptable to the changing needs of our community. Policing in West Carleton is much different than policing in the downtown core, for example. And also, building on the last slide, you also see the comparisons between Ottawa's ratio of population to police member versus other urban centres. And as the nation's capital, we need to ensure that we are operationally ready to deal with a wide array of public safety issues, from protests to demonstrations to much larger threats. And we saw that threat materialize itself October 22nd, last year. Ottawa 2017 will pose another set of challenges as tourists visit the nation's capital for celebrations. The other impact that we're looking at now is that Canada Day, starting in 2018 and future years, will be moving off the hill due to construction. So that will be another challenge that our police service will have to deal with the large amounts of crowds on Canada Day around the downtown core area. As I mentioned, there's a number of demographic and societal trends in our community that continue to impact policing. From a growth perspective, our population will increase to over 1.1 million residents by 2021. We are an aging population, and I count myself within that group. Senior age 65 and plus are expected to more than double between 2014 and 2031 in our community. We want to be able to age in our homes, and we need to be able to support them. From a diversity perspective, 1 in 4 residents is an immigrant. We are the 4th largest visible minority population amongst Canadian cities. So that brings about tremendous opportunities, but also some challenges around ensuring that we continue to reflect the community we serve, and that we are also being responsive to varying issues that new immigrants bring to bear in coming to Ottawa. From the mental health perspective, we're seeing an increased number of interactions with the public where individuals are suffering from mental health issues. It's estimated 40% of those interactions with mental health are not criminal in nature, and they're not easily resolved. So from a timing perspective, the budget is a good time to link with our new business plan, which the board members have been involved with, and we are in the process of consulting with our community. Our new business plan, which will cover from 2016 to 2018, is based on 3 pillars: our members, our community, and the service we are provided. And the budget also takes into account the 3 operational priorities of guns and gangs, violence against women, and traffic safety. Again, these resonate well with the community, and they were highlighted by the public survey. There's an alignment of our budget with our business plan and the operational priorities, which will allow us to focus the resources where we need to ensure that we are achieving our objectives as identified in our plan. We are making an investment to address our members and our community and the service we are providing. And I want to emphasize and share in the important investments we are making in our people. We want to make sure that we are responsive to their needs and that we are supporting them. There is an addition of 25 new officers that are being added to our complement in 2016, and those costs are being offset by efficiencies that we've found. We're also making significant investments in our wellness programs, which includes an enhancement to the Real You program, adopting a systematic approach to develop a sustainable and psychological health and safe workplace. We are linking, and we are one of the first police organizations to work with the Mental Health Commission of Canada to adopt the CSA national standards. We're also implementing a resiliency program, peer support program for our members, and we're also looking at identifying gaps and barriers that are present around the health and wellness of our members. From a staffing perspective and a staffing strategy over the next 3 years, we're indicating here that our strategy is designed to deal with pressures in our service delivery model and to support the service initiative. It'll assist in areas that are priorities, where we're not able to keep up with demand, new service demands, or areas where there are gaps in service, by developing that are developing because of new issues. So, for example, in the areas of guns and gangs, we're seeing continuing to see trends around the number of shootings take place in our community. Violence against women, our domestic, our partner assault unit, and our sexual assault unit is woefully understaffed, and we need to make investments in that area. And the issue around accommodations, we're finding that are because of the changing demographics of our workforce, more members are requiring accommodations due to medical issues, resulting in less members being available to perform frontline policing duties. So that is a trend that is not only happening in Ottawa, but it's happening in other police services across Canada. We are also committing to deal with our staffing issues in a second way, in finding 25 efficiencies within the police service to address temporary positions that will become permanent in areas such as our street crime unit and our human trafficking area. We're also looking at finding efficiencies to deal with existing frontline positions which were vacant, which will now become, we'll be able to backfill, increasing our frontline staffing levels. I'd like now to turn it over to Director General Fraser to speak about the details of the budget. Deborah?
Thank you, Chief. We'd like to emphasize again that the budget that we're tabling today, and which we will continue on and share with Council at about 10 o'clock, meets the Board and Council direction of a 1.75% tax rate increase. That includes 1.3% for assessment-based growth. And often, though you'll see us speaking here of 1.75%, the Mayor will often characterize this as a 2% increase on the residential tax bill. So both numbers you'll hear in the public domain, but both numbers mean that we've achieved the direction that's set by Board and Council. As the Chief spoke about, the budget includes 25 new sworn positions. Those are very important for us from a member's perspective as well as a community perspective. We want to continue to meet community needs, but we know that from a member's perspective, we need to address both workload and wellness. Those are the two things that have come about from much of the evidence-based research that is underway. Dr. Linda Duxbury is a leader in this field, and she'll be clear that until you deal with workload, you'll have a difficulty dealing with wellness. So our approach is to combine both in this budget. You'll see that approximately $1 million is being invested in OPS wellness programs for members. It's under the umbrella of a wellness program, but it includes elements like an enhanced Real You program where we hope to double our participation. The Chief spoke about our goal of adopting the national standard for wellness. We're going to open the dialogue as well, starting at an executive level, about wellness in the organization. And that was prompted for us in a very real way by a suicide of one of our members last year. So we know that at OPS, it's time for us to talk about all aspects of wellness. The efficiencies and new revenues that we're bringing into the budget, they're about $2 million this year. They'll help to fund those 25 sworn positions, and they'll also be, pardon me, they'll also be one of the ways that we start to fund the IMIT roadmap. That's the technology base that we'll put in, excuse me, we'll be putting in place to help bring the kind of tools to our members that are needed in the complex policing environment that the chief mapped out. I've been in a room with 5 people with a cold lately. Pardon me. We also used one of the city strategies, which is to use some one-time funding. We closed a number of projects, and you'll see that request come forward in our third quarter report, to fund one-time project requests. Those one-time initiatives are transformational projects. They're the kind of projects that the chief listed in the beginning of his presentation, and they yield benefits both in service and partnerships with the city and other partners, and they help to reduce the bottom line. So we'll continue to work on those initiatives to ensure that we can meet the $2 million target we've set for ourselves this year and in future years. We've said, though, that coming to a budget also means setting priorities and deciding on what's most important. Some of the decisions there have involved some delays on the capital side of our budget. You'll see that the facility strategic plan has been delayed a year. But we've also had the opportunity to be proactive. We've been notified by the provincial government that it's very likely that some of our grant funding will be reduced in their next fiscal year. We've assumed that it's about 10 to 12% of our existing base of close to $6 million. So you'll see that we've assumed a reduction of $600,000 of provincial grant funding. That funding supports positions in our organization. We've identified them actually at the back of the budget book. We are assuming then that 5 positions will be lost through the provincial grant loss, and we'll come back to the board with a strategy for that. That's why you see us being proactive about the new position initiative and about looking forward to determine how we'll deal with this grant loss so that it doesn't happen in the moment. This is one of the slides that we share each year because it's kind of a key benchmark for the board. We are introducing the way that the whole structure of the budget falls out in one slide. Our incremental budget increase is $7.2 million over last year. That means our net operating budget for 2016 is $277.1 million. The tax rate, again, I spoke that at the level we're directed, it's a 1.75% increase. For a residential taxpayer, that's 2%. And overall, for the average homeowner, that's $11, an $11 increase over last year. The budget story also gets kind of summarized in this slide by category. So you can see how all the numbers attach to the initiatives that we have. 5.9 million, or pretty close to 6, of our total of 7.2 goes towards maintaining our existing services. So that means that that's the provisions that we've made for future salary increases. It provides the fuel and maintenance or any increases there for our vehicle fleet. It keeps the cost of heat and light on for our facilities. And it also includes the $1 million wellness program that the chief and I have spoken of. The 25 officer impact is $1.3 million in this budget. You'll see that our service initiative and other programs have yielded $2 million worth of efficiencies to help offset that. So essentially, we are finding funds from within the budget for that initiative. The IMIT roadmap, which we're bringing forward to the board for approval, is a $2.2 million impact in 2016, and that again is to help us launch the kind of infrastructure and services and applications we'll need to serve the increasingly complex police environment. The final step in our budget is to adjust the user fees and charges by close to the rate of inflation. That's a policy the board adopted many years ago, and it adds about $250,000 to the bottom line. So at the end of the day, the budget increase is $7.2 million on the operating side, and that equates to our $1.7 million budget target. Mr. Chair, in conjunction with the practice that we've adopted following the Auditor General's review of our budget process several years ago, we table a 3-year operating forecast so that the board and our stakeholders and council can see the general direction that we're heading in for the outer 3 years. We adjust these plans as we need to as situations change, but it provides the police service and our stakeholders with a feel for what the future looks like. You'll see that throughout that budget process, we've committed to efficiencies of $2 million each year, and that's to ensure that we find the funds to help pay for initiatives that are critical to our success, such as the 25 officer program. On the bottom line, then, you can see that our budget increases in that area are
to be a guideline for the future, and the board considers this each year as we table and approve the budgets.
The last part of the budget that we look at is the capital side. The capital budget this year is also pretty straightforward. It's planned at $16.4 million. That's starting to increase for us. You'll see it split approximately half towards the renewal of assets that we already own. So we are ensuring that we can keep our current infrastructure and assets in a good state of repair by replacing them on a planned basis. The second half of our capital investment is going to be used to launch the IMIT roadmap. That's the infrastructure that's so important to the service initiative and other innovative programs that we have on the go. To pay for these projects, in fact, the board has already put funds aside. It's one of the very proactive things the board's done since the beginning, creating pay-as-you-go contributions to put away into really a savings account that then we draw on as we pay for these projects. So there is no debt required to fund the capital budget. We also table a 10-year forecast to help share with the board what the future looks like, and this has become more important to us as we've finalized some significant strategic work like the IMIT roadmap, which we'll be sharing at the end in December, as well as the facilities strategic plan, which extends actually to 17 years. So you'll see that over 10 years, our capital budget becomes about just under $270 million. If you split it evenly, it would be about $27 million a year. A quarter of those funds, once again, we apply to renewing the assets we already have so that our asset base continues to be operable and doesn't deteriorate. About 1/4 of the funds are going to growth. That's the second part of the South facility, and as well, within the 10-year horizon now, we see the development of a facility for Central. Central is outgrowing its boundaries. But you'll see increasingly the emphasis, about 1/2 of the funds, is going into strategic initiatives. Those are things like the IMIT strategic plan, and there are also projects in the facility strategic plan which aren't growth related, but which are important to our future, such as the replacement or the solution for Greenbank Road. Again, we started planning well in advance for these projects, so almost 2/3 of the cost will be provided from reserve funds that we have on hand. About 1/3 will be paid from debt, some of that from development charge debt, and some from debt that will come from our operating budget, and we have plans in place already to finance that. Mr. Chair, the last step in the budget, and we're 3 steps away, is at 10 o'clock, we will, after we finalize the tabling with the board, we'll be visiting council to table the budget with council. Then we, at the board's regular meeting on November 30th, we provide an opportunity for public delegations to come and speak with the board and share their thoughts about the budget proposal.
We've already had some outreach on the budget, actually, under the city's new proposal, where people were given an opportunity to comment as the development of the budgets were happening. The final step then, after the board approves on November 30th, is council's consideration and approval of the budget on December 9th. So I'd like to thank everybody on my team and the support that I received from Senior Management Committee, who's sitting over here at our left, from all the folks in Ottawa Police who contributed to the budget, from my colleagues on Executive Command, who are very patient with me during this process, and to the team that the Chief already identified. This truly is a team effort, and I'm very proud of the product we brought to you today. We're happy to take your questions.
Well, thank you very much, Director General, and thank you, Chief, and to the whole team. So, as we all know, today is just a tabling of the budget, and we'll be tabling again on Council in an hour or so. But Councillor Harder has a question. Councillor Harder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it was you, Deborah, that mentioned the provincial grant laws, that they've warned you that, and you think it might be likely 10 to 12%. Did they give you any idea why?
Mr. Chair, the province sent out some letters, I would say 2 months ago, talking about a restructuring of the funding that is coming to all police services across Ontario. And the letter itself was a bit convoluted because of the timing of the funding that monies are coming in with different programs. But there's every indication that we're most likely going to see a cut in 2016, specifically around our the PAVIS program, the Provincial Anti-Violence Strategy, and that cut will come across all police services in Ontario. We have 5 positions right now that are funded in our DART team to deal with the PAVIS funding. And that's where we may see a cut, and that's worth about $600,000 of an investment. The plans from the province have not been finalized yet, as of yet, but we felt it was prudent to put that in our budget as a pressure and as an issue that we most likely will have to deal with in 2016.
So is there an opportunity for, since it's not finalized, for police boards around Ontario to argue the point? Well, we do, yeah, through
certainly
AMO, but
from
also through us.
Certainly, Mr. Chair, from the OACP's perspective, I sit on the board, and we are expressing our concern with those types of cuts, and there most likely will be an opportunity for the individual boards that do get that type of funding to advocate and to address the issue with the ministry.
Because unless they have the stats that show that that sort of crime is trending down, which I think would be hard to prove, it would be an argument that they can't really make. So I hope we can do something with that, Mr. Chair. And I just have one other question, and it's about the delay in the South District plans again. I'm sure you've measured risk with that. I mean, the traffic is so awful just trying to get anywhere south of Hunt Club, anywhere in the city, whether it's Riverside South or Barhaven, Leitrim, etc. I'm just wondering how you are able to manage that risk with the delay for the distributing